Welcome to the Insight Engine Room, where we decode the hidden mechanics behind the world's most powerful nations and economies today. Imagine a vast, unforgiving desert where sand dunes stretch endlessly and the scorching sun beats down on a land of silence. This video is not just about wealth. It is about how a nation transformed sand into ultimate geopolitical power and influence. We are looking at the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, a country that managed to turn a natural resource into a weapon. But the story begins in the 1930s, when this land was not a powerhouse, but a region on the brink. The Great Depression in America had rippled across the globe, causing a massive drop in the number of pilgrims visiting Mecca. The kingdom was facing bankruptcy with no natural rivers, no agriculture, and its primary source of income drying up completely. It was a desperate time where survival was uncertain and the future of the newly formed kingdom hung by a thread. In a desperate gamble, the king turned to outsiders, inviting American geologists to search for something that might save his people. A historic contract was signed with SoCal, the predecessor of Chevron, marking the beginning of a partnership that changed the world. They set up camps in the middle of nowhere, battling heat and isolation, driven by the faint hope of finding black gold. For 5 long years they drilled and failed, finding nothing but sand and disappointment pushing the company to the breaking point. They were about to give up and leave, but they decided to dig just a little deeper into well number 7. It was March 1938, a date etched in history when the drill finally pierced the right layer of the earth. Oil gushed out uncontrollably, a black fountain of wealth that signaled the end of poverty and the birth of a titan. This was not just a discovery. It was the heartbeat of a new era that would fuel the engines of the world. Soon the first tanker was loaded, and the king himself turned the valve, sending Saudi oil to power the global economy. Money began to flood in at an unprecedented rate, transforming the desert kingdom faster than anyone could have ever imagined possible. Infrastructure projects exploded across the land, bringing electricity, modern roads, and education to a population that had lived traditionally for centuries. But there was a catch. The oil was controlled by Americans through the Arabian American Oil Company, known as Aramco. While the kingdom profited, the real control and technical expertise remained firmly in the hands of the foreign Western corporations. Across the water, Iran chose a path of confrontation, nationalizing their oil by force, which led to a devastating coup. Saudi Arabia observed this chaos and decided on a different strategy, one of patience, negotiation, and smart financial maneuvering. Instead of seizing assets, they bought them. They gradually increased their stake in Aramco, paying for every share they acquired. This was a masterclass in diplomacy, avoiding military conflict, while slowly securing control over their most valuable national asset. By 1980, the process was complete. The company was fully owned by the kingdom, becoming the legendary Saudi Aramco. Now they held the keys to the largest oil reserves on the planet, giving them leverage over the entire industrial world. But the true test of this power came in 1973 during the Arab-Israeli War, when tensions reached a boiling point. In response to Western support for Israel, Saudi Arabia and OPEC led an oil embargo that shocked the global economy. Overnight, the price of oil quadrupled. The era of cheap energy was over, and the West was plunged into darkness. Factories closed, inflation soared, and the term stagflation became a nightmare for economists in the United States and Europe. King Faisal had proven that oil was not just a commodity, it was a political weapon more powerful than any army. The United States realized they could not afford to be enemies with the kingdom. They needed a new strategic alliance immediately. This led to a secret and pivotal moment in 1974. A deal that would define the global financial system. The deal was simple but revolutionary. The U.S. would provide military protection and hardware to the Saudi royal family. In exchange, the Saudis agreed to price all their oil sales exclusively in US dollars, creating the legendary Petro-Dollar system. Furthermore, they would recycle those billions of dollars back into the American economy by purchasing United States Treasury bonds. This masterstroke stabilized the dollar-funded American debt and secured Saudi Arabia's safety under the American security umbrella. Decades passed, and the kingdom flourished. But the world was changing, and the reliance on oil began to look risky. With the rise of green energy and electric vehicles, the leadership knew the age of oil would not last forever. Enter Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, widely known as MBS, a leader determined to overhaul the entire Saudi economy. He unveiled Vision 2030, an ambitious roadmap to diversify the nation away from its addiction to crude oil revenue. To fund this vision, he orchestrated the IPO of Saudi Aramco, selling a sliver of the company to the world. The billions raised were poured into the Public Investment Fund, turning it into one of the world's largest sovereign wealth funds. They started buying everything stakes in tech giants like Uber gaming companies, like Nintendo, and even Premier League football clubs. They disrupted professional sports with Live Golf, proving they were willing to spend whatever it takes to gain global influence. But the most audacious part of the plan is a NEOM and its centerpiece, The Line. A city straight out of science fiction, it promises a car-free, zero-carbon environment, stretching 170 kilometers, challenging every traditional concept of urban living. Critics called it impossible. But the excavators are already moving millions of tons of sand, turning the dream into reality. Geopolitically, the kingdom is pivoting again. China is now their largest trading partner, buying more oil than anyone else. This growing relationship with Beijing complicates the old alliance with Washington, signaling a shift towards a multipolar world order. However, this rapid transformation comes with a dark side that cannot be ignored by the international community or investors. The brutal murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi remains a stain on the kingdom's reputation, drawing condemnation from around the world. There are also ongoing concerns about the rights and working conditions of the millions of migrant laborers building these mega projects. Despite the controversies, the Crown Prince pushes forward, betting everything that Saudi Arabia can survive the end of oil. From a desperate desert tribe to a G20 economy, the journey of Saudi Arabia is a lesson in strategic survival. The question remains, can they successfully transition to a modern economy? Or will the sands eventually reclaim their ambitious dreams? Thank you for watching Inside Engine Room. If you found this analysis valuable, please like and subscribe for more deep dives. We will see you in the next video uncovering the engines that drive our world. Goodbye for now. But before you go, consider this: what other nations are silently building the future while we look the other way. The winds of change are blowing across the dunes, and the story of energy is being rewritten right before our eyes. Value is no longer just what you dig from the ground. It is what you create, innovate, and build for tomorrow. A new generation is rising, equipped with technology and ambition, ready to take the reins from the oil barons of old. As the tankers sail out, they carry more than just fuel. They carry the political weight of a kingdom in transition. The clock is ticking on the hydrocarbon age, and the race to diversify is a race against time itself. Tourism is the new frontier, opening the once closed kingdom to millions of visitors eager to explore its hidden history. Cultural changes are happening just as fast, with music festivals and cinemas opening doors that were locked for decades. Women are driving, working, and participating in the economy, unlocking a massive reservoir of human potential previously untapped. The government runs like a corporation, now driven by KPI targets and a relentless drive for efficiency and results. They aim to be a hub for artificial intelligence and manufacturing, competing with established tech giants in the West and East. Even the desert is being tamed with advanced agriculture, ensuring the kingdom can feed itself in an uncertain world. Riyadh is becoming a global meeting point, a place where East meets West to discuss the future of the global economy. The Red Sea project aims to create a luxury destination that rivals the Maldives, powered entirely by renewable energy sources. They are in a race with their neighbors, striving to become the undisputed commercial and financial capital of the Middle East. They are also exploring digital currencies and blockchain, preparing for a future where money itself might be fully digitized. Thousands of students sent abroad are returning home, bringing with them world-class education and new perspectives to build the nation. Their ambitions even reach the stars, with a growing space program, sending astronauts to the International Space Station recently. Downstream industries are expanding, turning crude oil into plastics and chemicals, capturing more value within the kingdom's borders. They position themselves as a digital bridge connecting Europe, Asia, and Africa through massive data cables and server farms. Yet amidst all this futuristic chaos, the timeless soul of the desert remains, watching empires rise and transform. The camel and the drill, the tent and the skyscraper. These dualities define the complex identity of modern Saudi Arabia. The pulse of the city beats faster every day, driven by a young population hungry for change and opportunity. Startups are sprouting up everywhere, fueled by government grants and a desire to create the next big tech unicorn. Jeddah remains the gateway to trade, a bustling port city that has welcomed merchants and pilgrims for over a millennium. They are betting big on green hydrogen, hoping to become the world's leading supplier of the clean fuel of the future. Security remains paramount as the region remains volatile, requiring constant vigilance to protect the flow of resources. Recent diplomatic moves suggest a desire to cool down regional conflicts to focus entirely on economic development and growth. Consumer spending is robust, with malls and entertainment venues packed, signaling a shift towards a consumption-based domestic economy. It is a long way from the days of King Abdulaziz, who united these tribes with a sword and a vision. Today, his grandson commands the attention of the world's most powerful CEOs and leaders with a checkbook and a plan. As the sun rises over the Arabian Peninsula, it illuminates a nation that is constantly reinventing itself against all odds. The energy that powers the world is changing, and Saudi Arabia is determined to remain the captain of that ship. From the sands of the past to the silicon of the future, the transformation is nothing short of a miracle. Digital adoption is among the highest in the world, proving that tradition and modernity can coexist in this unique land. They are also investing billions to restore their heritage sites, reminding the world that their history predates the oil boom. Culture is the soul of the nation, and reviving these traditions is key to strengthening their identity in a globalized world. The desert has always been a place of reflection, a harsh teacher that taught the Saudis resilience and patience. Water is as precious as oil here, and their desalination technology is a lifeline that allows civilization to flourish in the heat. Quality of life is improving, with parks and entertainment centers providing a lifestyle that was previously sought abroad. Research and development are the new engines of growth, aiming to export knowledge and patents instead of just raw materials. Their airlines are expanding, ordering fleets of new planes to bring the world to their doorstep and boost tourism. A new national carrier is being launched, aiming to rival the established giants of the Gulf aviation industry. Construction never stops. The skyline is in a permanent state of evolution, reaching higher and higher into the dusty sky. Membership in the G20 confirms their status as a systemic player in the global economy, a voice that must be heard, even as they diversify. The pulse of the oil market still dictates the rhythm of the nation's immediate financial health. The old wells are becoming monuments, reminders of the resource that catapulted a tribal society into the 21st century. Solar fields now compete with oil fields for space in the desert, harvesting the sun's rays instead of the earth's crude. These engineers are the new pioneers, ensuring that the kingdom remains an energy exporter long after the oil runs dry. The city at night tells a story of prosperity, a beacon of light in a region often darkened by conflict. Stability allows for these simple moments, a luxury that many in the surrounding nations unfortunately do not possess. Foreign capital is flowing back in, attracted by the bold vision and the promise of massive returns on investment. Vision 2030 is more than a plan. It is a national mantra, a deadline that drives every decision made today. With only a few years left until the deadline, the pace of change is accelerating to a breakneck speed. Barriers are being broken in sports and society, empowering a demographic that was previously invisible in the public sphere. Cinemas, our full concerts are sold out, and the entertainment sector is booming, creating jobs and happiness. But nature is unforgiving. Water scarcity and climate change pose existential threats that money alone cannot solve easily. Sandstorms still remind the city dwellers that they live in one of the most extreme environments on planet Earth. To survive, they must innovate. Vertical farming and cloud seeding are not luxuries here. They are necessities for survival. They are literally trying to change the weather, forcing the sky to give up its water to feed the land. The dream is to turn the desert green, a promise made in religious texts and now pursued through science. The leadership knows that the oil wealth is a finite bridge to the future, and they must cross it quickly. As the world order shifts, Saudi Arabia refuses to pick a side, choosing instead to be a friend to all. They hold the choke point of global energy, a responsibility that gives them a seat at the highest tables. Their financial markets are opening up, inviting foreign capital to participate in the biggest construction project in human history. Global corporations are moving their regional headquarters to Riyadh, drawn by incentives and the promise of lucrative contracts. Electric cars funded by Saudi money are now driving on Saudi roads, a full circle of investment and utility. They are not just buying cars, they are building factories to manufacture them, creating a new industrial base from scratch. Logistics is another pillar, aiming to make the kingdom a global hub, connecting 3 continents via sea and air. Railways are slicing through the dunes, connecting the coasts and speeding up the movement of goods and people. The high-speed train connects the holy cities, a blend of religious duty and modern convenience for millions of pilgrims. Pilgrimage remains the spiritual heart of the nation, a timeless ritual that anchors the country amidst rapid modernization. They continue to expand. The holy site is preparing to host 30 million pilgrims annually by the year 2030. Faith and finance, tradition and technology. Balancing these forces is the delicate act the kingdom performs every day. The world watches closely, for the success or failure of this experiment will have ripples across the entire globe. The true wealth of the nation is no longer underground. It is sitting in these classrooms, learning to code. Empowering women has unleashed a wave of productivity and creativity that is reshaping the corporate landscape of the kingdom. Art and expression are flourishing, giving a voice to a generation that wants to tell its own story. Yet they never forget where they came from. The desert remains their home, their history, and their ultimate identity. Satellites, factories, cities of glass, these are the new monuments of a kingdom racing to beat the clock. The balance is shifting. The oil barrel is getting lighter, and the weight of innovation is tipping the scales. The people are ready. They have tasted progress, and there is no turning back to the way things were. If the line is built, it will stand as a testament to human will. A pyramid for the digital age, Saudi Arabia aims to be the heart of the Arab world, the investment powerhouse, and the hub connecting continents. From barefoot Bedouins to global power brokers, the journey has been long, but the destination is finally in sight. One day, the last barrel of oil will be sold. When that day comes, the kingdom plans to be ready. The future belongs to those who prepare for it today. Saudi Arabia is building its ark before the rain stops. Power, oil, vision, future. These are the pillars of a story that is still being written every single day. We have witnessed the mechanics of a nation's rise. Now we watch to see if they can sustain it. This has been a deep dive into the engine room of Saudi Arabia. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Don't forget to subscribe to Inside Engine Room for more geopolitical breakdowns. See you in the next video. Goodbye.